Welcome to Mrs. Young's Teaching Corner. This video is a part of my shared reading poetry series, and today I will be walking you through how I use the poem, Who Stole the Cookies? First, if you haven't checked out the video where I walk you through the very first shared reading lesson that I do with my students using our names, check that out in the link below because this lesson builds upon that one. Each day in our literacy block, we spend about 15 to 20 minutes in shared reading alone. When I select a poem, we will do this poem throughout the whole week. In each of the shared reading poetry lessons that I have on my Teachers Pay Teachers store, I have a 5-day lesson plan where I walk you through each step that I do on each day with my students. Now, after we have gone through learning everybody's names, we will warm up in shared reading by reading through our name chart. As you can see over here, I have a list of the students' names, and together we'll start at the top of the list, and my students and I will read down the list together. Allie, Emma, Ethan, Hillary, until we've read everybody's name. After we've warmed up reading our names, I will tell the students that I am going to introduce a poem to them called Who Stole the Cookies? Now, when I'm teaching shared reading, I like to use the model I do, we do, you do. So when I'm introducing the poem, I will say, we are going to learn a poem called Who Stole the Cookies? Listen to me as I sing the poem. Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? And at this point, I'm going to pick somebody's name in our class, and you're going to try and read that name. Are you ready? Timothy! So at this point, we're gonna look at Timothy and say, Timothy stole the cookies from the cookie jar. And Timothy's gonna say, who, me? Now you'll probably have some shy students who don't want to do that. So I do at the beginning have the whole class do it with them. But if you would like to make it responsive where the person says, who, me, yes, you, couldn't be, then who, and you have students who are extra excited about that, then go for it. So we'll say, Timothy stole the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you. Couldn't be. Then who? And then I'll get another name and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to see if Timothy didn't do it. I wonder if Sammy stole the cookies. Ready? Let's sing it together. Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? Sammy stole the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you. Couldn't be. Then who? And we will do about 4 or 5 names with the poem. On the first day, I probably would go through every single student's name if I could until the time ran out. Just because it's fun for the kids to see their name in the poem. They get really excited when it's their turn. Some kids are shy, but they still get excited to see their name in the poem. So that is day 1. We also will take a minute and I'll talk about the meaning of the poem. And I'll say this poem has meaning to it. What is this poem about? This poem is about us trying to figure out who stole the cookies. We have a cookie jar and some cookies are missing, so we're asking around to see who was it that stole the cookies. And it's just a fun little game that we can play together. And we'll go through the poem several times until the kids pretty much have memorized the poem. This all happens on day 1. On day 2, I get out my pointer stick, and this is where we really focus on those early literacy behaviors in kindergarten, like where do I start reading? Matching 1 for 1, saying 1 word for each word that I see, and also that return sweep of when you get to the end of the sentence, where do I go from here? So the kids don't even realize it, but as we're reading the poem, I will just point to it while they are singing it and having a good old time. So I'll go like this. All right, we're gonna reread the poem again today, and we're gonna put some friends' names in our poem. Are you ready? Who stole the cookies? Here we go. Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? Sammy stole the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you. Couldn't be. Then who? And if your students are saying it too quickly, you can say, slow it down so that I can point to the words. Let's try somebody else. And then you slide a new name in there. You can also have a friend come up and use the pointer stick, but I found that at the beginning of the year, it's easier for the teacher to do it until the kids get more familiar with how to point as they're reading. You could also do hand over hand where you're holding their hand and they're just helping you. Kids like to do that as well. So we will go through the poem about 3 or 4 times using a few different names, and then we will transition to our poetry journals. Now, the first week of school where I'm introducing poetry journals, I do a lot extra time to train the students on how to use our poetry journals. We do have a bookmark in the back where I help the kids learn how to turn to the next fresh, clean page in their poetry journal, so you don't have them just pasting on whatever page they flip to in their books, which happens in kindergarten. So I have them open up to the first page, and then I also do a little training on how to glue these in. A lot of times kids will take their glue stick and just put tons and tons of glue on the paper, and I like to teach the kids to go around the border of the paper and a quick little zigzag in between, and that is good. That's enough glue. If you don't do that, you will probably have some glue challenges throughout the year. Then one other really great trick that I do to keep everybody on task is when they are finished, they will go grab a pencil and hold their pencil in the air to show me that they are ready to move on. And once I see one friend's pencil in the air, I'll say, oh, I see Sammy's ready to go. They have their pencil in the air. And the kids kind of want to be the first one or get their pencil in the air. So it does help keep things on pace when they are moving different supplies, because if you're not careful and you have different supplies coming in and out, it can eat up a lot of your instruction time, which if you create really good procedures in the beginning, it won't do that. So I have them get their poetry journal. On a different day, we do decorate and color the front cover, and I just staple it here on the corners, and it attaches very nicely. If it falls off throughout the year because the kids are rough with it, I just staple it back on and it works great. So I teach them to open up to the next fresh, clean page. They glue down the poem, and then I have them write their name on the line. Some of them want to write their other friend's name, but I really want them to practice writing their name since it is the beginning of school. And you'll find that some kids do struggle to write their own name, and this is where I like to use the trick of a highlighter. I will walk around and I'll say, if you need help writing your name, hold your pencil in the air, and I will come and help you. And I will write their name in a highlighter, and then they have to trace over the highlighted word to write their name. I also teach them that our pencil is a writer and it's a reader. So they can use their pencil to write, and they can flip it over and use the back side as a pointer stick. So we will practice reading our poem together, and at the very beginning of the year, I am not expecting them to point to the correct words. It's just to get the movement of going left to right, starting from top to bottom. So I have them get out their pointer stick and we read it together, and they approximate pointing to the words while we're reading the poem. And then after that, I let them have a few minutes to color it, and then we put our poetry journals away for the next day. Now on day 3, I like to play a little game with the kids where they have to help me find the name that we're going to put in the poem. I like to have my little rectangle whiteboard, and I will say the letter and then write it on the board, and I want a friend to come and find a name that begins with that letter. So I'll look at the pocket chart and I'll say, I'm thinking of a name that begins with the letter S. Can someone find a name up here that begins with the letter S. If I'm wanting it to be more specific, I'll say, and this friend is wearing a red shirt. And they'll look for that friend and they'll think, does Sarah's name begin with an S or is it Sammy? And if Sarah's wearing a red shirt, then they'll have to find Sarah's name and put it up here. If they're struggling, I'll say, do you want a friend to come and help you? And I'll usually call the friend up whose name it is because they can recognize it and they'll help us put it in the poem. We will sing the poem and chant it together using the names that my friends come up and help me find. This is helping them focus and zoom a little bit more in on our letters and sounds. After we've done a few friends' names, I will write some letters on my whiteboard and we will do a letter find. If I have introduced the letter T that week, I will put the letter up here and I'll say, go ahead and call out. Tell me the name of this letter. Everyone will say, when I say call out, that means everyone says it out loud if they know the answer. T. And then I'll say, let's have someone find the letter T. Raise your hand if you see the letter T up here. And I'll get out my small little letter finders and a friend will come up and put it, slide it over the letter T, and I'll train them on how we do this, and I'll have another friend come up and we'll continue to find the letter T. We don't have to find every single letter T, but just maybe a couple, and then we'll move to the next letter. We can do this with 2, 3 letters, whatever your time allots for. Now on day 4, we do our first word work, where we try and find words in the poem. And I will introduce a couple of sight words. The first sight word that I introduce is the word the. And I will write it on my whiteboard like so. And I'll say, this is the word the. T-H-E, the. Say the. And then the whole class will say the. Let's see, where is the word the in our poem? Oh, I see one right up here in the first sentence. Who stole the cookies? Can someone else come up and find another the? There's a couple of them in our poem. And then I'll call a friend up and hand them one and they'll come up and find it. If they're struggling, I'll kind of say it's, somewhere around here, you know, and I'll help them. And I'll show them the word again and have them look closer. And we will go through and do a few sight words. So we'll start with the, and in this poem I will also do the word me and you, and we will find those words in our poem. Now we do this all together, and once we found them all together, I will have the students get their poetry journals and they will return to their seats and get out a red crayon and hold their red crayon in the air. I like to go in the colors of the rainbow just because the kids can anticipate what color we're going to do next. So we find one word and we mark it in that color. So the first word we'll find is the word the. So in the poem, they will find the word the, put a box around it and color it in to highlight it. And then they will get their orange crayon and hold their orange crayon in the air when they're ready for the next word. So this helps me regulate where everybody is. If a friend is struggling to find the words, I as a teacher am circulating and helping everybody to make sure they find the words. I will just point it out at the very beginning of the year. I always just kind of tell the kids where the words are. As we progress through the year, I'll make it to where they have to look a little harder for it. And then after the orange crayon, we find the word me. I'll have them hold up a yellow crayon, and then the next word they would find in yellow. On day 5, now this is optional. Some weeks I get to this and some weeks I don't. Some weeks I condense and squish day 2 and 3 together, and sometimes I don't, because it just depending on what you have going on that week, you can copy and paste as needed. If you do get to day 5, it is a fun activity for the students to create a little emergent reader booklet. In this booklet, they will go in and write a name of a friend or themselves who they are saying stole the cookies, and they draw a picture of their friend. They They can color their book. You could even do another sight word find in the book. So if you wanted to use this in a small group, you could do that as well. I also like to have the kids grab a buddy, pair up around the room, and read the book with a friend, and then they get to put this in their mailbox to take home at the end of the day, and over the weekend they can read their poem to their parents and share what they've been learning in school with their parents. So there you have it. That is my 5-day lesson plan for Who Stole the Cookies. It is really a great poem to start the year out with, and it's super fun. It's very simple, and the kids pick it up really quickly and they love it. You will hear them singing it throughout the day, at recess, at the cafeteria. You will just hear them chanting the poem a lot because it is catchy and they really enjoy it, and it just sticks with them. If you would like all the activities that I described today, you can find that in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. The link is down below. Also, I would encourage you to like and subscribe if you would like to hear more shared reading poems that I do in my class, as I will be posting up more videos in the future. Thanks and happy teaching.